Hello everybody, this is Vinton, aka BitB, and welcome out to another BitB stream. Thanks for coming out. It is Saturday, and we are playing a little bit more Phoenix Wright. Oh no, what happened the last time that I was playing? It's been a while, and it's been a very busy week or so, so it's sort of just emptied directly out of my head. I don't know. There's only one way to figure that out, and that's to dive in, I think. So let's go ahead. Alright. Oh yeah, are we starting at the trial? Ooh, okay. Chapter start. Oh, I seem to remember that I had a whole lot of annoying frustrations the last time. So, yay! Hopefully it won't be that frustrating this time. Oh, we'll see. We'll definitely see. Oh, I should mention, before I get too far into this, we're still having internet problems, so if the footage cuts out on your end, I deeply apologize, but it's quite literally something that I cannot personally fix. You know, like, it's something to do with wires outside of, not even like at my residence. I think it's just a utility box somewhere out there is glitching and having a shit fit, so yeah, I can't exactly fix that. So if it cuts out, I apologize. There's nothing I can do. In the meantime, okay, anyway, yes, enough about that. Let's just dive in. Hey, Maya. Hey, Nick! What is it this time? You won't believe how many people are here for the trial. Well, it is a murder case. What are you talking about? They're here for the trial next door. Next door? Why don't you know this, Nick? Oh my, what? They're having Detective Atmey's trial. Oh, wow. That's ridiculous. Detective Atmey? They say they're gonna try him as mask to mask. Already? That was fast. Boy, I'd love to see Mask to Mask's trial. I know. Who is this? By the way, where's Pearls? Oh, she went back home. She said she can't neglect her training anymore. I know you don't like... Who is this? Pearl has really gotten into her training lately, huh? Yeah, ever since that incident last year. Please don't ignore me! Oh, Mr. Delight. Good morning. No one likes me. No one would notice me, even if I killed someone. Come on, don't be silly. Wait a sec. You don't mean you're the murderer? No! I'm just a poor thief. No, wait. No, that's not right. I think can't really be poor. Now let's see. According to Mr. Delight, from his second crime on, he was following a bunch of set plans. Plans that someone had been sending to him to help him commit the heists. Do you really think there's a connection between the thief and the murderer, Nick? It's possible, but today's trial is a race against the clock. Huh? How come? Let's just take our time like always. I'm afraid that's not an option. Here. Well, considering that if somebody ends up getting convicted as Mask to Mask now, then yeah, our points are moot. Hello, Judge. I wonder who's overhearing the. I wonder who's overhearing the trial over at Mask to Mask. Do you think it's just? You think they have clones of the judge just sitting at every single one of these places? Hello, I'm a clone. They gave birth to me just yesterday. Court is now in session for the trial of Mr. Ron Delight. The defense is ready, Your Honor. You're ready. Preparation is the last refuge of the weak. Okay, settle down, everyone. Let's begin with your opening statement, Mr. Godot. He's got the judge in the palm of his hands, yet again. Ron Delight is simply too young to be sent to war. That's all. Eh? I'm afraid I have no idea what that means, Mr. Godot. Then you need to get out more, Your Honor. Life is war, but that is exactly why you must be more precise in your wording. That's all my statement means. You understand now, right? Yes, well then, let me briefly summarize the details of this case. Wow, the judge is taking charge like he knows what's going on for a change. The victim is Kane Bullard, CEO of KB Security.
His body was found in a safe at approximately 9 a.m. on the morning of the 13th. However, the time of death was estimated at 1 a.m. as the previous day.
And that's when our little lost kitten dropped the ball. That little lost kitten is, of course, the defendant.
Very well then, Mr. Godard. Please call your first witness.
Cup of Joe. I never drink more than 17 cups of coffee during any given trial. But the first one is always the best.
Mr. Godard, your witness.
Okay then. Let's hear what the defendant, Mr. Ron Delight, has to say for himself.
The defendant? Well, Mr. Wright, does the defense have any objections? It may be a bit of a disadvantage having the defendant testify, but...
Good question. I remember when Mia was defending me. She allowed me to testify so she could do the cross-examination. She put a lot of trust in me back then. We have no objections, Your Honor. The defense will allow Mr. Delight to testify.
You got guts, Trite.
All right, then. Mr. Ron Delight, please take the stand.
Oh, boy. Will you not be a weenie for once, please?
You did it.
What the fuck? All right, I'm going to call badgering the witness.
Yes,
You asshole.
what? No! That's not true. For a moment there, I thought we'd set the record for the shortest trial ever.
Well, Mr. Delight already looks plenty guilty with that face he's making. And once he opens his big mouth, he'll probably put the last nail in his own coffin.
Very well. Now then, can you tell me something? If you didn't kill Bullet, why did you go to KB Security?
Well, that's kind of hard to say. Boy, I wish I could go home. Now then, let's hear some testimony about what happened.
We're all dead. We're all screwed. My visit to KB Security.
And at that evening around 1 a.m., I went to see Mr. Bullard in his office at KB Security. The blackmail letter I got, it ordered me to go there. I'd been working for KB Security until a year ago, so I knew where his office was.
Sounds straightforward and exactly what I knew, what we know about it.
1 a.m. The exact time the murder took place.
The weak get washed away by the tides of fate. The strong drink it up. It's bitter today, too. Just like my destiny.
You'd never know that from the way he's chugging it down.
Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, if you please.
Very well. I feel like we're just going to be filling out the information, because it doesn't look like there's anything weird about it. That evening around 1 a.m., I sent Mr. Bullard, office, KB Security, hold it. 1 a.m., huh? You're absolutely sure about that?
Yes, that's what my watch said when I was entering the CEO's office. No, actually, I'm not really sure, but my watch is slow and my internal clock was also a bit... 1 a.m. That's the exact time the victim, Mr. Bullard, was murdered, correct?
It's too late for a coffee date, that's for sure.
Whatever, you would drink coffee any time of the day, you asshole. The blackmail letter I got, it ordered me to go there. It ordered you there? It was the first time I'd gotten a blackmail letter that ordered me to go somewhere.
Does that mean you've gotten other blackmail letters then?
Oh, of course. They'd say things like, steal this, or take that, or hold it. Ah! Why don't you save those for later, Mr. Delight? Please don't say any more. Now, what should I do? Well, pressing harder has tended to save me in the past. But just in case that's not the answer, I'm saving now. Yep. Right then. Let us see what goes on. Let's press harder. So, what did the blackmail letter in question say?
It said to bring $50,000.
Money, eh? Perfect motive for committing murder.
No, but wait! I never intended to pay that money anyway. No? Is that right? After all, he had nothing to hold over my head. I had nothing to be afraid of. An important point indeed. Witness, let's have that added to your testimony. Yes, sir.
A muddy mud skipper in outer space has a better chance of surviving than I do.
The blackmail threat didn't scare me. It was gonna cause me... it wasn't gonna cause me trouble or anything.
No, I think it would. Just what were you being blackmailed about anyway?
The blackmail letter said if you don't want your identity revealed, correct? I'm sure it was referring to the whole Damask thing. But I wasn't worried. Mr. Bullard didn't have anything on me. He didn't? Anyway, I don't care what anyone says about me. Just as long as Desi believes in me.
So that's why Mr. Delight didn't believe he was masked to mask.
That's why I knew they were just hollow threats. I've been working for KB Security until a year ago, so I knew where his office was.
I don't know why I'm pressing it, but sure. You used to be a security chief for KB Security, right?
Yes, that's right. Oh, security chief? You?
And yet, a year ago, you were fired without notice. Revenge for an old grudge, a perfect motive for murder, wouldn't you say?
Ah, come on. Again, do you have any proof for that shit? This isn't good. Maybe I should change the subject. Life after being fired. Why he was fired? Don't say anything. Weird. Let's see. I'm gonna say life after being fired. What did you do after being fired from KB Security?
I spent a lot of time looking for work, but then I decided I wanted to start something myself.
Not good! This is going from bad to worse.
So I started looking at books, TV, and movies, learning all I could about masked men. Masked men?
Hold it. So, you wanted to try drawing a comic, right? About masked men.
No, that's not right. I wanted to become...
Hold it. Oh, God. Your Honor, let's move along, shall we?
But you asked the question. You're being quite odd today, Mr. Wright.
Way to bring the spinning buzzsaw one notch closer to your own neck, case attorney. There wasn't much to his testimony, was there? Sounds like he's avoiding something. At least, that's what it sounds like to me. Oh, I've got a bad feeling about this. We'd better be careful. But if we don't find a way to make him spill the beans, we'll never get closer to the truth.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's try and get a little bit more information from that. That one question. Security chief, Matt. Right, so life after being fired. I want to know, okay, why were you fired, sir? Mr. Delight, please tell us why you were fired from your job.
But, well...
The world is filled with those who have said, I wish I had never asked that.
Okay,
Defendant, please answer the question. I needed money. You needed money? Well, you see, Desi loves to spend it. It's kind of her hobby.
It's a horrible hobby to spend money. Not exactly the best yeah, exactly in the world, huh, Nick?
My salary wasn't nearly enough, so I stole data from the company.
Come again?
KB Security has a lot of security info on all sorts of companies. And since I was a security team chief...
You stole some data and sold it.
Mr. Bullard found out and I was fired immediately.
What? I wish I'd never asked that.
I was somehow able to keep it secret and made it seem like I quit on my own.
What is it, Nick? You don't look so good.
Someone who brings harm to their company is fired as punishment. You do well to remember that.
He sure told you.
So you admit that you stole data from your company, is that correct? Yes, I'm sorry.
Damn it. This guy is so guilty of so many things, but not murder. It sucks.
This is a very important fact. Please add it to your testimony.
Oh man, this whole thing just took a big turn for the worst. Crashed and blew up. It's gonna take the jaws of life to rip this case from its clutches of disaster. He fired me for selling company secrets, but Desi doesn't know about that. Why would you do something like that? Well, for Desi's hobby, what else? Wasting money, huh?
It's not a waste!
So, Mr. Delight doesn't know that her Miss Delight, rather, doesn't know that her husband was fired, does she? So it would seem. I'm not sure what to think about couples who keep secrets like that from each other. I can't believe it. This case has gotten even Maya to think seriously about couples.
Please try to stay focused, Mr. Wright.
Alright. Well, crappity crap. So which one of these things would be good to press? Let's see. Blackmail threat didn't scare me. It wasn't going to cause me trouble or anything. Hold it, you asshole. Blackmail.
Objection.
Objection. Hey, here we go.
Disc. I'm afraid that reason isn't going to hold up anymore.
What do you mean?
The victim had no proof the defendant was mask to mask. But you were the one who stole company secrets only 1 year earlier.
But that was all over with once I was fired.
But it's true that the fact I stole secrets was kept under wraps. Even so, there was no reason for me to pay up now, a whole year later. Is that really true? What is it, Nick? The fact that Ron was stealing company data. I wonder if he would have had a problem with that ever, if that ever became public. I think it would. I'm gonna save real quick though, because we've actually I've done pretty good. I'm like remembering being like, hold on, let's think back to the testimony. All right, so this part of the testimony don't work anymore now that we have more info. I'm tying my head around this. I'm trying to figure it out. Anyway, I think you would, Mr. Delight. I believe you would have been in considerable trouble if your identity as a company data theft was made public.
But, Mr. Wright, what are you trying to do by bullying your own client?
Men are like I was about to say cologne. Colonies of bacteria. The more heat you apply, the faster they grow.
That's exactly right.
Well then, feel free to keep up the heat, my little lawyer amigo.
Little lawyer amigo.
Yes, now come on. Provide some evidence to back up your assertion. Why would Mr. Delight want to keep his data stealing secret from going public?
I can think of a couple of things. I mean... Alright, so he stole public information. Buzzer record, that wouldn't do anything. Camera data. What would it be? What would Mr. Delight want to keep? Why would Mr. Delight want to keep his data stealing secret from going public? I would have to assume autopsy report, newspaper. Let's say a newspaper clipping. What was this? Gem and the thief. Does it have anything to do with this crime? Because, I mean, now that... why would Mr. Delight want to keep his data stealing secret from going public? Oh, God. This might be it, but... if it actually is it brings up some... bad connotation. I got plenty of health. I could probably make this work. Let's see.
Take that.
Well, Mr. Defendant.
You heard the defendant.
Just when I thought it wasn't possible, a whole new level of irritation rises before me.
It looks like the defendant was just playing with himself.
What? Don't do that in court. Do you think you can rephrase that, Your Honor, for my sake?
Let's get back to the testimony, shall we?
Shit. Okay. So crap. Here. I mean, that's clearly what I'm supposed to be doing. I need to prove something. Alright, let's try and think about this again. Why would Mr. Delight want to keep his data stealing secret from going public? Oh, wait, no, I have an idea. Why he wouldn't want this from going public is because he is married to someone who hates criminals. Take that. Mr. Delight, what you said just now doesn't match what you told me yesterday.
What doesn't?
I think you must have been scared, very scared, of having a certain person find out your secret.
Gulp! A certain person?
Miss Desiree Delight, the defendant's wife.
Well, but I... Listen to me, my Desi, she's...
Looks like if I just sit back and relax, the fun will end before it truly begins.
Godot.
Yes, we know. It was all your wife's fault.
What do you mean?
Mr. Delight stole company data to pay for his wife's spending habits, for which he was fired. Unable to face his own wife, someone used his dirty little secret to blackmail him. And that is how this murder came about.
Oh!
You bastard! No! Everything is falling neatly into place for him!
Don't talk about my Desi like that! Oh, you'll be sorry!
Meh.
Well, it seems that we've learned a great deal of things here so far.
What do you think, Nick? I didn't think it was possible to get so thoroughly whipped in just 20 minutes.
Clearly, there was sufficient motive for murder. He stole data from his wife, and he... Oh, wait, for his wife, not from his wife, Jesus. And he killed to protect his secret. A family man who cared just a little too much.
The motive is clear. Let's move on.
Gah.
What happened at the crime scene at 1 in the morning, Mr. Delight? Come now, tell us. We're all ears.
Can't wait to dig this hole a little bit deeper for me.
When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow there. And suddenly I was hit on the forehead. After that, I remember being a bit dazed. If I hadn't been wearing that, I would have been killed.
What? What? Hadn't been wearing what?
When I came to, Mr. Bullet was lying there, dead. I see. Suddenly hit on the forehead, huh? I believe the detective from yesterday provided similar testimony. He said that Mask to Mask struck him on the head from behind.
Of course, since Atme turned out to be the culprit himself, that was all a lie.
No one's gonna believe a pathetic lie like that.
What are you saying? I really was attacked. We'll find out if what you say is true or not during the cross-examination.
Got that, Mr. Trott? Don't go easy just because he's your client. If I see any sign that you are, I'll treat you to another cup of my special blend.
You don't need to worry about that, Mr. Godot. I have faith in Ron. I know he didn't do it. Right, maybe we'll actually get some real answers now that we're talking about the actual murder. Nothing about past experience. When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow there. Suspicious shadow, huh? Who was this suspicious shadow?
If there were 1,000 of me, and if even one knew, I'd tell you, trust me.
He's dodging all of our questions. His dodging all our questions is not helping us with his case. Okay, then, How was the victim, Mr. Bullard, at the time? What do you mean by how was he? Was he already dead? Was he still alive? Maybe he was the one that hit you in the first place. That's a good question. What do you think, Mr. Wright? Forget it. How am I supposed to know? Suddenly I was hit on the forehead. After that, I remember being dazed. Your forehead? Yes, I was hit on the forehead as soon as I entered the room. That was an amazingly fast and powerful attack. Do you remember anything about who hit you? Well, like I said, it was a fast and powerful hit. So I think I was a little dazed for a while. I don't think Mr. Delight even grasps what you were asking. Yeah, I'd like to show him a fast and powerful attack myself. Maybe that would knock some sense back into him. Hey, if I hadn't been wearing that, I would have been killed. What were you wearing? That? Could you please clarify what you are referring to? Why, my mask-to-mask costume, of course.
Wait just a moment! Mask to mask!
No, did I forget to mention it before? Just to be on the safe side, I dressed as Mask to Mask! And then I descended upon the office of the CEO of KB Security.
What?!
Well, this is fun. Nick, did you know about this? He never told me this! I don't recall him ever mentioning it to me either.
Even I didn't know that. Seems our little friend really loves to keep his secrets.
I'm sorry, I just never had a chance to mention it up until now. Actually, it makes sense now that he has, it makes sense that he's in his costume right now, and he was probably caught at the crime scene. Anyway. Actually, wait, was he? No, I don't remember. I don't remember. Wait, that's not right. You know how sometimes things just slip my mind.
My 6 cups of coffee is starting up, it was just staring up at me coldly.
At any rate, we can't ignore this new piece of information. Witness, please correct your testimony.
I'd have been killed if I hadn't been wearing my mask-to-mask costume. Why are you dressed up as Mask-to-Mask? Why, because I'm Mask-to-Mask, of course.
What are you talking about? Mask to Mask's trial is being held next door.
Yes, I guess so. Anyway, at the time, I thought I was being blackmailed over the Mask-to-Mask issue. So I thought I should go as him, just to be safe. Oh boy. Let me tell you, it's a real pain to move around with that cape. That's why it took a lot longer than I'd expected. Took a lot longer? What's he talking about? What do you mean by took a lot longer? Oh, opening the safe, of course. What? My cape got caught on the safe door, you see. This all happened when I was hiding behind Mr. Bullard's body.
What was that? Back up a second!
Yes?
You were the one that hid the body in the safe?
Well... Yeah.
Inconceivable!
And we're not proving our case in any way, shape, or form.
Why? Just... Why? What reason could you have? What were you thinking?
Question. When does someone toss their dirty shorts in the washing machine?
What?
The answer is simple. When they take them off.
As usual, I have no idea what you're saying.
Do you mean that Mr. Delight hid the body because he's the murderer?
So you're not as stupid as you look.
His metaphor this time was really obscure.
Mr. Wright, you don't mean that you knew about this whole safe business, do you?
Well, yes.
Why am I the only one not in the loop here? Witness, make sure you add that to your testimony.
Yes, sir. Uh-oh, looks like a storm front is moving in over the fair weather judge.
I panicked and hid the body in the safe. It took about 10 minutes.
Why did you hide the body in the safe anyways?
Well, because it wouldn't fit in a drawer, you asshole.
That's not exactly what I meant.
When I saw the corpse, I kind of lost it. I thought, if they find his corpse, they'll think I did it.
I think you had a simpler reason than that. It's because you killed him. That's why you spent 10 minutes hiding the body.
That certainly makes more sense. Yeah.
Hold on. 10 minutes. What is it, Nick? I just had a thought. Under those circumstances, would you normally try to hide the body? And spend 10 whole minutes to do it? Under those circumstances? What circumstances? Oh! Hey, Nick! If you think his behavior was so strange, why don't you present some evidence that would show just what those circumstances were? That's it. I'll take a look at the court record and present some evidence. We heard it from Mr. Delight yesterday, didn't we? There's not much in this testimony either. Okay, I think we're looping. Alright, I think we found it. Right? Lying there, dead. Panicked and hid the body in the safe. It took about 10 minutes. So what would line up with the whole 10-minute thing? He panicked and hid the body in the safe. It took about 10 minutes. So why would he just run off in 10 minutes? What is he waiting for exactly? Why would he run so quickly? Okay. From Damask's second heist, he was stealing as directed by blackmail letter. Okay, that matter. The buzzer record, does that say anything? The buzzer went off once at 1:02 a.m. on October 12th in the CEO's office. Well, if the murder took place... Let's look at the autopsy report real quick. Okay. Time of death, 10:12, 1 a.m. Cause, cerebral I mean, yeah. According to the buzzer record, the buzzer went off once at 1:02 a.m. on October 12th in the CEO's office. That doesn't link up. Like, what? Why would you spend so much of your time in that room trying to hide the evidence after the murder took place? That's confusing. That might be it. Let me think about some other stuff first, though. Mayor runs well. Okay, well, what was the blackmail letter again? Meh. Okay. Meh, I don't think that says it. No, I really feel like it has something to do... Here. The buzzer record.
Objection!
Yes! Your Honor, could you please take a look at this record?
And what might that be?
The record for the emergency buzzer that connects the CEO's office to security. If the button in the office is pressed, a security team is supposed to come running. And according to this record, the buzzer was pushed once at 1:02 a.m.
What?
If Mr. Rondelite truly was the murderer, he would have ran as soon as the buzzer sounded. After all, a security guard would have been heading his way.
Let's remember who we're dealing with here. He probably had no idea there were security personnel in the
Building. Are you a dumbass?
Objection!
Up until 1 year ago, my client was working as a chief of security. There's no way he wouldn't have known about them.
But, as it turns out, the guard never came.
That was nothing more than a coincidence. The fact that the guard was a pathetic loser who had just gotten punched in the face by his ex's new boyfriend and wasn't anywhere in the vicinity was not something Mr. Delight could have known.
Again, remember who we're dealing with here. It's a sure bet that Mr. Delight didn't even notice the buzzer going off.
Objection!
We were in the room. This buzzer is extremely loud. There is no way he could have ignored something like that. If he had been conscious, that is.
Conscious? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, drink your coffee, you bastard. I need to drink water because you are destroying my voice. All right.
Fine. Let's hear your theory.
Recall the defendant's testimony. The moment he entered the victim's office, someone attacked him. Mr. Delight said he felt dazed. I'm willing to wager that he was knocked unconscious for at least a few minutes.
Unconscious? So he fainted?
That's why Mr. Delight didn't know that the buzzer had sounded. And that's why he thought he had time to hide the body.
So what are you trying to say?
Mr. Delight was knocked out, and the buzzer went off soon afterwards. Now, unless my client was able to hit the buzzer while he was unconscious, it can only mean that there was another person in that room. That's right, whoever it was that knocked out Duran Delight and then pressed the buzzer. Why would you press the buzzer? That doesn't make any sense. Oh, well, I mean, I suppose you would be trying to call up some security guards and try and get him, but why would you knock him out in that stage? Fuckity fuck it.
Order in the court, Mr. Wright. This is...
This is preposterous. It was this kid. Ron Delight is the one who killed Kane Bullard.
Then who pressed the buzzer?
It was the victim, of course. He pressed the buzzer when the defendant attacked him.
I mean, that doesn't make any sense. If he died at 1 o'clock, then that would mean that he had been dead for 2 minutes. He wouldn't have pressed the buzzer.
He didn't die right away. He must have held on long enough to push the button.
So Kane Bullard sounded the buzzer himself? What is your opinion on this, Mr. Wright?
I need to prove that the real criminal was there at the scene. But how? Can I prove that it wasn't Kane Bullard who sounded the buzzer? I don't know. Can I prove it right away? I honestly don't know if I can. Once again, I mean, it estimated that the time of death was 1. But I don't know if they're going to look at that as sort of a flexible thing. I'm going to say I'm not ready yet just to see. See if it does anything. The defense admits there is no evidence to the contrary. It is possible that the victim himself sounded the buzzer.
Possible. More like definite, Mr. Tride.
Which means only 2 people were at the crime scene after all.
The victim, Kane Bullard, and his killer, Mr. Delight.
Come on, Nick! If you can't prove that the real killer was there, this trial is as good as finished! Oh, damn it. I guess I need to show some sort of evidence after all. The defense's opinion is this, Your Honor. This piece of evidence proves that it was the victim who sounded the buzzer. Oh, it wasn't the victim who pressed the... Alright. What would be the proof? Well, I mean, the autopsy report specifically says, time of death, 1 a.m. The buzzer went off at 1:02. I'm gonna try this.
Well, what do you think, Mr. Oh, goddammit.
I can hear the sound of the buzzer.
Huh?
It's going off inside your head at this very moment. The emergency buzzer of your heart.
Is it really? Maybe just a little.
Mr. Wright, you need to think more carefully.
I am! Ah, that's a son of a bitch. Okay. This piece of evidence proves that it wasn't the victim who sounded the buzzer. Connected to the basement security guard office. There are no fingerprints on it. That might be it, considering the fact that, hey, there's absolutely no proof that the victim did it. Anything else aside from that? Ron's wallet. Man, I don't know. Maybe it was the buzzer record again, saying it's like, 1:02. But no. Ron's testimony. The sacred urn. Brr. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna try this. Yep. I believe this is the piece of wow. I have not actually seen that word. Incontrovertible evidence you were looking for. I'm gonna have to look that one up later.
The emergency buzzer? Is there some kind of clue on it?
Absolutely not.
Hey, come on now. At least give some thought to what you say before opening your mouth.
The fact that there are absolutely no clues is itself the clue.
Now I'm the one who's clueless.
This button has no fingerprints on it. If Mr. Bullard had really pressed it himself, naturally, he would have left his fingerprints behind.
Objection.
Ron DeLite obviously wiped them off.
Objection.
Why would he? A guard could have come in at any moment.
Yeah, he touched that button. I know he did.
The defendant, Mr. Delight, was dressed as Mask to Mask. And Mask to Mask always wears gloves. What reason could he possibly have to wipe the button free of fingerprints?
Order, order, order!
It would seem... Joe, I've been forced to eat crow.
I wonder what blend number crow-flavored coffee is.
However, if the real killer was there at the scene, why would that person press the emergency button?
Because we have Mask to Mask in the room, that's why.
Shouldn't they have run away without putting themselves in extra danger?
Meep, meep.
What's with this awkward silence all of a sudden?
Looks like you're fresh out of parlor tricks.
They're on to you, Nick! Just give me a minute to collect my thoughts. The real culprit killed Mr. Bullard at around 1 a.m. And Mr. Delight just happened to waltz in when the murder was taking place, right? The killer clobbered Mr. Delight and then sounded the buzzer. Even though security was supposed to respond right away if the buzzer was pressed. Security was supposed to respond.
Time's up, Mr. Wright. Let's hear what you have to say.
Very well then. Saves. Okay, continue.
Oh, you got some guts. I like that in an opponent.
Why did the real killer sound the emergency buzzer?
They didn't mean to. To call the security guard. To find out what it did. Bullshit. Again, they wanted to call the security guard, very specifically, because Mask to Mask was right inside the office. Clearly, there is somebody who can take the fall for the crime. The killer knew that if they pressed that button, a guard would come running. And that was exactly what they wanted.
Do you mean to say the killer called the guard on purpose?
Yes. Although, as it turned out, he never showed up. Because he was getting his clock cleaned at the time.
What a touching story. You're saying the killer had a change of heart and called the guard to turn himself in?
No, I'm not. When that buzzer sounded, there were 3 people in that office. The victim, Kane Bullard, who was already dead. The defendant, Ron Delight, who was out cold. And the third person, the real killer.
Hypothetically, yes.
Now then, in this situation, if the real killer made an escape, what would happen? The only ones left in the room would be the victim and Ron Delight. And if any security guards came running in at that time,
They would think that I was the murderer!
yes, that was precisely the real killer's objective. To frame Ron Delight for the murder. Drinky, drinky.
Order, order, order!
It would seem. I've been made to eat my own words again, once again.
Actually, you've been made to do a spit take with a cup of coffee.
Mr. Wright, who was it? Who was it that tried to frame me? Wait. Wait a second. I'm the one and only mask. The mask. Sorry.
Nick, you mean the real killer is... We're gonna drag that person in here right now. But, who is it? I don't have any solid proof yet, but think about it. The killer knew Mr. Delight's identity, and they also knew that he had been called to KB security that night. So the killer used him to execute a well-crafted plan to murder Kate... not Kate, what the hell? Kane Bullard, son of a bitch.
Now then, let's hear your accusation, Mr. Wright.
I have an idea. I'm gonna go ahead and save first, though. Also, the network is kind of having a shit fit, which is absolutely lovely. So I'm sure that I'm probably cutting out for everyone and their dog, and I apologize.
Who was it that framed Mr. Ron Delight for the murder of Kane Bullard?
Well, if I had to take a random guess... Detective Luke Atme. He's the only one who could have done it.
Ace Detective.
Luke Atme? You mean Mask the Mask did it?
Your Honor, the person being tried in the court next to us is not Mask the Mask at all. He is, in actuality, the true murderer of Kane Bullard.
Order! Mr. Wright, explain yourself!
Theft and murder. Which is the more serious crime?
They're not even close. Murder is the more serious crime, of course. It's a capital crime subject to a capital punishment.
Please remember the trial from yesterday, if you would. When Luke Atme confessed, there was a huge commotion in the courtroom.
Of course, a famous detective was unmasked as Mask the Mask.
Instead of being convicted of murder, he was found guilty of grand larceny. That was his true objective all along.
To be found guilty?
Mask the Mask had the perfect alibi for when the murder took place. He was stealing the urn at Lordly Taylor. In other words, being found guilty as Mask the Mask was Luke Atme's airtight, watertight, and unassailable alibi.
A guilty verdict. As an alibi? Woo!
I think we're pretty much there.
You know, it's almost time.
For what?
For Luke Atme's verdict. It was a pretty simple trial after all. If we're gonna stop this trial and stall that one, we need to do it now. Of course, that's assuming you have proof that the detective was the one who committed the murder.
But Mr. Luke Atme's trial has indeed attracted the attention of the entire country. If we were to intrude and fail to provide adequate proof of his true crime, Mr. Delight would be left with no grounds for appeal.
Am I really sure about this? I don't know, but I'm saving. Boink. Right then.
Bet's only good when your life's the ante.
Mr. Wright, I believe in you.
Mr. Delight.
Please, I'm begging you.
Thanks, but my decision will determine the rest of your life. Can I really risk your life like this? Phoenix? Hello. What was that? Don't stray, Phoenix. For your client, take your path of trust. That voice. It sounds like... Mia! Your Honor! The defense requests an immediate recess!
So that's your answer, huh?
Very well. I've decided as well. This court will now take a 20-minute recess. Mr. Wright, when we return, please summon Mr. Luke Atme to the stand.
Yes, Your Honor! Woohoo! October 14th, October 14th, 11:58 a.m., District Court, courtroom number 5. Hey, how you doing?
Well, Sir Detective Atme.
I have to say, Mr. Payne, you performed splendidly.
Oh no, Sir Detective Atme. You were the one who...
That's enough! This court sees no reason to further prolong this trial. This court finds the defendant, Luke Atme.
I guess this is, finally we know there are multiple judges. Wait! Don't hand down your verdict yet, please!
Well, Sir Lawyer, welcome to my courtroom.
Who's this hoser, eh? What, are you supposed to be oh, Jesus, you're supposed to be Canadian. Oh, no. Why? What have you done, translators? What have you done? Okay, fine. That's his voice.
Who's this hoser, eh?
My name is Phoenix Wright, attorney at law, and I wish to file an accusation against this man, Luke Atme.
Accusation? You accuse Mask Damask?
That man is not Mask Damask. He's just a ruthless murderer.
What?
Go ahead. Let the pot stir. Let it stir. Time to save. Boy, my health bar is at half. Hope I can pull this out. October 14th, 12:14 p.m. District Court Defendant Lobby, number 4. My sis? I could have sworn I heard Mia's voice. So then, she's still alive. Inside your heart. Okay, Desire A. Nicky boy! Oh, Mr. Light. Is it true that Detective is the real killer? To be honest, we don't have any definite proof. But he's the only one who could have done it. But wasn't he at Lordly Taylor that night? And not to mention, we don't exactly know his motive. I mean, why would Detective Atme want to kill Kane Bullard? Oh, it's almost time. Oh, better get back to the courtroom. I need to find some solid proof. And it's gotta happen sooner than later. It looks like the stream has evened out. So that was that was a good chunk of something like 5 minutes of the internet being all. Anyway, October 14, 12:21, District Court Defendant Court said number 6. Hi, how you doing?
Now then, this court is back in session. Mr. Luke Atme, please take the stand.
Well, how do you do, Sir Lawyer? I never would have thought to see you acting so recklessly.
I couldn't let them hand down your verdict just yet. Not when it would have given you the perfect alibi. An alibi by the name of Mask Damask.
I'm sorry. I'm afraid even the great Luke Atme has no idea what you mean. Of course, I had been in the next courtroom ever since 10 o'clock this morning. I'm afraid there's no way I could know what's been going on in here.
You've been in the defendant's seat all day long, correct? Being tried as Mask Damask.
Indeed. It's truly child's play to fool the ignorant masses. Not only did the poor fools ask me to protect their valuables, they even gave me a generous reward upon returning them their own property to them. Take this red diamond ring that sparkles upon my divine finger, for example.
So you continue to insist that you are, in fact, Mask Damask.
Of course!
Very well then, Luke Atme. Let us begin with this simple question. On October 12th at 1 a.m., Kane Bullard was murdered. Where were you at the time?
One without knowledge lacks even the knowledge that he should be ashamed of himself. But don't worry, I will not hold it against you, Sir Judge.
Thanks.
All right, Mr. Atme. The night of the murder. Speak. We're all ears. As you wish, Sir Prosecutor.
The alibi. Mere. I was stealing the urn as mask to mask, just as I announced I would. I had more than enough time to prepare. It was a pathetically easy job. A photograph contains no words, but in this case, one turned out to be my witness. The time at which the camera captured mask to mask was the same time as the murder.
It seems the main point of discussion will be this photo of the crime scene.
Everything else up until now was all part of his plan. There has to be a secret to this picture as well. Even the great mask to mask cannot be in two places at once. Now then, if you'll excuse me, I have a verdict to receive. Hold it. Unfortunately, Mr. Atney, we still have to do your cross-examination. A fool is too foolish to know that he is a fool. I think he's trying to say that you're full of it, Nick. The only thing that's full of it is his alibi. The alibi. I was stealing the urn as mask to mask, just as I announced I would. So this photograph is proof, correct? Indeed it is! And the man and the man in the photo is currently wearing a mask. That is why I'm called Mask to Mask. But conveniently, that also means that there is no way to tell who this really is.
What do you mean?
Objection!
Are you saying that this is not, in fact, Luke Atney? That it could be an accomplice dressed up as Mask to Mask to create an alibi?
Oh, what an interesting idea! Are you saying that I, Lone Wolf Luke, had an accomplice? No. I think I know. I know how this took place, I think. Maybe. We'll see. If Luke Atney was at KB security during the murder, then the Mask to Mask in this picture has to be a fake. Then there really was an accomplice! But right now I have no idea who it was. I don't have any idea right now either. Baseless objections are just what that guy wants. There's gotta be another way. And I'm gonna find it. I had more than enough time to prepare. It was a pathetically easy job. Why'd you do it? I believe Adrian Andrews hired you at one point. That's right. That was over 40... no, not 40. Jesus. 20 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. You sent the calling card to Lordly Taylor 10 days before the heist. That would mean you sent out the card after you began your security watch, right? Indeed! There was no reason why I couldn't do both jobs at once. It was the perfect opportunity to steal my latest target.
I see. You truly are evil, aren't you?
Yes, evil is what I am. Hey, Nick, isn't there something odd about this? Detective Atney was always proud of his ace detective skills, right? But if the urn was stolen from Lordly Taylor while he was the only one watching it, he'd have no way to maintain his perfect ace detective persona. You know, that's true. It is kind of odd. So, maybe that has something to do with it. A photograph contains no words, but in this case, one turned out to be my witness.
Hold it!
So, by photograph, you mean this piece of evidence here, is that correct? Indeed it is. That is it. The very thing that proves I committed the crime. The very thing that proves you committed the crime. When you think about it, it's really odd. You say that almost as if you had this picture taken on purpose.
Objection!
He was simply caught by the very camera that he had set up. We all have days like that.
Indeed. It turned out that there was no such thing as the perfect crime after all. Life is truly an ironic thing, a sad blue melody. It looks like I'd better gather more information for now. If he's truly the killer, there's gotta be something phony in that photo. The time at which the camera captured Mask to Mask was the same time as the murder. About the camera that took this photograph. Oh, come now! It's all too clear what you're thinking.
Huh?
You think I altered the timestamp on the photograph, don't you?
I'm afraid that's impossible. The camera was set up by Lordly Taylor, and on top of that, it was Lordly Taylor's staff that printed that picture's data. Unfortunately for the defense, there's no way that picture could have been altered.
I see.
It looks like I better find something else that could be suspicious. So this alibi is false? It has to be, or he couldn't have killed Mr. Bullard at KB Security. But I'm not really spotting anything unusual. There are two possibilities. Either the mask in the photo is a fake, or the photo itself is. Alright. I have a couple of theories in my head about how this could potentially work. I just have to figure out which one of these things I need to object to, and what to present. Come on, think long and hard about that night. The basement warehouse and this picture that supposedly captures it. It's gotta be here. Oh, son of a bitch. Oh, God, motherfucker. Okay. You know what? I understand. I understand clearly. All right, how much... Again, it's another situation of literally there is no answer right now, and that I was supposed to go back in the testimony and check it. I hate that kind of puzzle. I hate it. We're rewinding the clock. I'm gaming the system and I'm getting my health back because I need it for the last few puzzles, I'm sure. The basement warehouse and this picture that supposedly captures it. It's gotta be here. Isn't there something funny about this picture? You bet your ass it is. Are you implying that this picture is a fake? You bet I am. There's something... Wait, there's definitely something strange about this picture. We took a look around the basement warehouse that night before the thief took... Yeah, that's that... Sorry, I am very discombobulated after that bullshit. And there's something in this photo that doesn't match my memory of that night.
Very well, then. Let's hear what you have to say. What about this photograph do you find funny?
It is, that puddle here. The funny part is right here!
Why, this is a blood stain.
Not quite, Judge.
Blood! Now this case is getting interesting.
Not exactly. This stain is actually pink paint.
Oh, just paint. And peach-colored at that.
From blood to peaches, the judge sure loves going on his wild tangents. The problem with this photograph is not the paint. The problem is when you consider the layout of the basement warehouse. It turns out that something that should be there is nowhere to be seen.
Well, Mr. Wright, what is supposed to be in this picture instead of that paint stain?
That. The supervisor of the treasure exhibit stated the following. Well, there's a good reason for that. On the day of the crime, around noon, that golden statue just happened to arrive from the mountain training hall. I realized that the statue would be the perfect size for covering up the paint stains. That's why I put it where you first saw it. I myself was there that night the theft took place, and saw the statue in that spot. If this picture was truly taken on that night, then that statue should have been there.
Objection!
But when I went there the day after the theft, that statue of the old bag was sitting in the corner.
Perhaps it was somehow pushed there accidentally?
Your Honor, this statue is slightly larger than yourself and quite heavy. It would take more than an accidental push to move it that distance.
In that case, can you prove it? Can you give us the rhyme and reason as to why that statue was moved that night?
Can you do it, Nick? I don't know. That's a good question. I'm certainly not going to do it without a save. Never mind who moved it. The real question is, why did they move it?
Well, Mr. Wright, I hope you are prepared for your answer. Now then, who was the one that moved the golden statue on the night of the crime?
Who and why? In what way, who? I mean, I would have to take a guess that it probably had to be Luke Atney. But why, I have no goddamn idea. It'll probably present itself. The one who moved the statue is none other than Luke Atney! Come now, Sir Lawyer. There you go again, on one of your strange delusions.
Mr. Wright, what basis do you have for your strange delusions?
It's very simple. The witness was the only one in the basement warehouse that night. That is indeed very simple. However, why would I want to move a heavy golden statue? The reason for moving the golden statue. Here's where our battle really begins.
Well, Mr. Wright, what reason did the witness have to move that statue?
The reason can be found here in this photograph. Here. Luke Atney, you pretended to be mask to mask to create an alibi by showing you were at Lord Lee Taylor that night. But this photograph contains a single fatal flaw. If the statue had been there, your lie would be exposed like a cheap film at a drugstore. That is why you had to move the statue.
A single fatal flaw?
Interesting theory. Please enlighten us. Just where in this picture does this lie exist?
I mean, there is the box-shaped stain. Interesting. It might be the box-shaped stain, very specifically. You know, it might be just that easy, that simple. Where's this picture? Okay, where in this picture does this lie exist? Does it have anything to do with the time code? I'm trying to think about this. So, no, the time code makes sense. It makes sense for the consistency of the crime itself and having an alibi. Why? On the night of the crime, there's no reason why it wouldn't even be. Okay, I'm gonna just say it has something to do with that little imprint. I don't know.
Take that!
The lie in this photo is somewhere around here.
Jumping to conclusions again. I think you need to take a gander in your local mirror.
As the Yiddish proverb goes, half truth is a whole lie.
Keep lying like this, and you'll be the one on trial.
Oh man, now they're calling me a liar. The question is, why was the statue moved, right? There was some reason the culprit didn't want the statue in the picture. At least, that's what I thought.
I'll ask you again, Mr. Tride. Just where in this picture does this lie exist?
Maybe the box. Because I don't know. I don't really see the paint splotches on the box, but maybe.
Take that!
The lie is Oh.
Is that true? Are you saying that this mask to mask is a fake?
You know, I really wish you would start acting more responsibly.
Huh?
The current question is, why was the golden statue moved? So what possible connection could there be with Mask to Mask's identity?
Oh, buggers.
Your face has old buggers written all over it. That's a penalty for you.
Okay, so it's nothing to do with Mask to Mask. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and scum this. I'm using all my health to its full advantage. Paint splotch. I mean, I did like do this before. Maybe it has something to do with the paint splotch. Oh, and I think the connection is failing again. Woohoo! And no. This makes complete sense. That's the thing. I don't know why I would be pointing to it, but I guess it could indeed be possible. Screw it. Naturally, the lie is in this photo. The lie in this photo is the timestamp.
What do you mean?
I'll tell you exactly what I mean. On the night in question, Luke Atney went to KB Security and murdered Kane Bullard. Therefore, it's obvious. It would have been impossible for him to have been at Lordly Taylor at this time. I'm confused. I mean, how we have not proved that he has been off at KB. And he clearly dressed up as Mask to Mask. There were two of them in this situation. Fuck.
But what does that have to do with the statue being moved?
Remember, if you will, Your Honor. When was this statue placed besides the warehouse door?
Well,
The statue was taken down to the warehouse on the day of the crime, and it was placed there in order to cover up the paint.
Exactly. Luke Atney had already decided on the time when he was going to kill the victim. And so in order to create an alibi for that time, he took this picture days before the murder took place. I get you.
What the?
Of course, the statue hadn't yet been brought down to the basement warehouse yet.
ah,
So, on the day of the crime, Mr. Atney must have been quite nervous. As nervous as a long-tailed cat in a rocking chair factory, so to speak. Why? Because something that wasn't supposed to be there had been brought down and placed where it wasn't supposed to be. And that is why Luke Atney had to move the statue on the night of the murder. He did it to make the room match with the way it had been in the photo. Son of a bitch.
order. Mr. Atney, is this true?
Well, one moment, Your Honor. Have you forgotten this?
What's that?
The data for the basement warehouse computer. According to this, the camera did indeed go off on the night of the crime.
Objection!
It's true that the camera had been set up by the Lordly Taylor staff. However, the program used to manage that data was yours. That alone would have allowed you to tamper with the data.
Order. Mr. Godot, what is the meaning of this? Godot! I warned you about making me wait. Now put that coffee down.
My 11th cup. I'd promised to drink no more than 17 during a trial, which means I'm still good to the last drop.
However, the defense has a very good point.
A good point. So what? We are all but travelers on a road of infinite points.
I think he's got his points mixed up with his other points.
So you say this photograph was taken ahead of time, and that the statue was moved in order to make it match? That's a very interesting idea. However, there's one point that can't be denied.
Which is...
that it's only a possibility. Men that are trapped by the chains of maybe can never reach their dreams.
That's very true.
No way! Don't fall for that, Your Honor!
Hey, Mr. Damask,
Yes?
if there's no funny business in your actions as Master Mask, there should be no problem with you telling us your strategy. So let's hear it.
Yes, please, provide this court with your testimony about your plan to steal the sacred urn.
Okay, then. I'll bust this one down. I first received the request from Lordly Taylor about 20 days ago. The urn was placed in a box, and Zavari! It was then sent to the warehouse. Hence, I was actually unable to see the urn for myself until the day of the crime. I knew it was an extremely valuable treasure, so I sent my card 10 days before. I then handled security by myself to ensure that my crime would go smoothly. At last, I held the urn in my hand for the first time at 1 a.m. on October 12th. That's pretty much all stuff we've heard before, isn't it? Yeah, but we will find the truth hidden in the nuggets of new information he gave.
Witness, you're sure that there are no mistakes this time?
Zvari! Okay. Apparently that says everything we need to know.
Very well then, Mr. Wright. You may begin your cross-examination.
Okay. Let's do. I first received the request from Lord Taylor 20 days ago. You were asked to guard the urn by Miss Adrian Andrews, is that right? Indeed! It seems that they had heard of my sparkling reputation. Oh my god, I want to punch this man.
I see Miss Andrews is still attracting the weirdos.
You better watch out too, Maya. The urn was placed in a box, and Svari, it was sent to the warehouse.
Hold it!
You mean this box? Yes, that pathetic box. Jesus Christ, man. Lady Andrews was especially taken with that urn. And she wouldn't let anyone enter the storm room. Not even me. Huh. Interesting new tidbit. Hence, I was actually unable to see the urn for myself until the day of the crime.
Hold it!
So you're sure that you had never seen the urn before? Indeed! You may ask Lady Andrews to confirm for yourself. My security was focused entirely on the entrance to the warehouse. However, look at me, let no information whatsoever slip through my fingers. I knew it was an extremely valuable treasure, so I sent my card 10 days beforehand. It's not that valuable, dude. You mean this calling card? That's right! That is, without a doubt, my calling card. I guess Mr. Delight didn't make this after all. Of course, because Atme knew about the emblem. Making this card authentic would have been child's play for him. I then handled security by myself to ensure that my crime would go smoothly.
Hold it!
Then no one entered the basement warehouse? Unfortunately, there were many different treasures being taken there. Thus, for a period of approximately 5 days, people were indeed going in and out of the warehouse. At last, I held the urn in my hand for the first time, at 1 a.m. on October 12th.
Hold it!
And this is the photo that proves that, huh? Indeed. To be honest, even if a photo was taken, I didn't think it would matter terribly much. Hey, Nick, if this photo is a fake, Detective Atme might have stolen the urn whenever this was taken. That's true. You know, he's been saying that he never saw the urn until that night. If we can prove that he's lying there, we can wrap this up and put a bow on it. I need to take a good hard look at the court record. Not a lot to go on, is there? That detective's been covering his tracks. There's only one thing we need to prove in this cross-examination. That he took this photo well before the actual night of the crime. Alright then, how do we do that? There's one thing that Atme stated very clearly. That he had never seen the urn before he stole it. We need to prove that he's lying. Right then. So...
Objection!
Oh, that's right, what?! Alright, I don't understand that, and I'm certainly not going to deal with that, no. At last, I held the urn in my hands on the first time, 1 a.m., October 12th. Sent before the heist. The emblem is top secret. Touch the check. But let me read this again, and maybe it'll make sense if I read it again. To the security at Lordly Taylor, I will be coming to purloin the most priceless work of art on display in your Treasures of Curain exhibit. Take good care of the speckled urn, won't you? Speckled? How, that's very specific. Wait a minute. Yeah. God damn it. That didn't register with me. Okay, so that's what he meant by saying I gotta take one good, hard look at the evidence. I understand now. Okay. Kinda wish I could have figured that out by myself, but okay. Mr. Atme, if you really are mask to mask, then you also wrote this calling card, correct? But of course!
Is there a problem with the calling card?
Allow me to read a passage from the calling card that Mask to Mask has written. Take good care of the speckled urn. Now, the speckled here surely refers to this pink pattern on the sacred urn.
Yes, that is true. But so what?
Truth be told, there is no way that Mask to Mask could have known about this pattern.
What do you mean?
This pink spotted pattern on the urn is actually nothing more than paint stains.
Paint stains?
And these stains did not appear until after the urn had been taken to Lordly Taylor.
I'm not finding this joke to be very funny, Mr. Trite.
The day that the sacred urn was taken to the warehouse, the urn was broken due to human error, or should I say, an error-prone human. And that's when the pink paint got on the urn.
You can't be serious.
And yet, this calling card clearly mentions the paint pattern. Which means Detective Atme has seen this urn long before the crime ever took place. In fact, he saw it when the fake photo was taken. And because this photo was a fake, your alibi for the night of the murder will no longer hold water. All right, let's see if we can break through this then.
Witness, do you have anything to say for yourself?
All right, that did it. He's broken. Nick, I think it's still a little early for a victory pose. Huh?
It's so sad. No one has any conviction these days.
Conviction, you say?
Yesterday we all decided unanimously that this man was Mask to Mask. And now we're calling him a murderer. You don't think we're being a tad fickle?
But that's a good point.
No way! Don't fall for that too, Your Honor.
You say that Luke Atme was the one who killed Kane Bullard. Then let me ask you this. Why would he do that?
An excellent point. Motive, Mr. Wright. Motive. Might you, my merry murderous motive manifest? Nick, he's getting his second wind.
If he prepared an alibi and pinned his crime on Wrong Delight, as you say, he must have had a very strong motive for murder.
The only one with any motive we've seen is Ron Delight. Isn't that right, Detective?
Indeed. According to my own research, the boy's motive is clear.
Without a motive, it's nearly impossible to prove guilt in a murder case. Now then, maybe you can enlighten us as to what the defendant's motives were.
I'd be honored to, Sir Old-Timer. They're doing everything they can to make sure Ron looks suspicious. Despite our lack of hard information, this may be our only chance. Motive for murder, huh? Well, let's see. I, Luke Atme, had no point of contact with the victim whatsoever. Kane Bullard decided to investigate Mask to Mask and simply mistook who he was. It was Mr. Bullard who wrote the blackmail letter and sent it to Ron Delight. And it was again Mr. Bullard who harbored a grudge against Mr. Delight for his betrayal. Mr. Bullard's mistake is quite excusable. The defendant truly believes he is Mask to Mask. That is why Mr. Delight saw it fit to kill Kane Bullard. Truly a tragedy. You whore.
So, the victim, Kane Bullard, blackmailed the defendant?
This is the blackmail letter found in the defendant's apartment. A handwritten test confirms that Mr. Bullard was indeed the one who wrote the letter.
What? Alright, so that was official. I was kind of hoping it was actually, not Bullard, but whatever.
Very well, Mr. Wright. Begin your cross-examination.
Well, here we go. I, Luke Atme, had no point of contact with the victim whatsoever. And who in the world is going to prove that?
I will.
Yeah.
After doing a thorough background check of Detective Atme and Kane Bullard, we were unable to find any links between them. It's all in the report.
Perhaps they were connected through their work. They were both involved in security.
Nope.
That was blunt.
In any case, the only one with a motive was Mr. Delight. Kane Bullard decided to investigate mask to mask and simply mistook who he was.
Oh, whoopsies.
Right?
Hold it.
Mistook? That's right, mistook. From the Old Norse, mistaka, meaning to take in error. That wasn't what I meant.
Just who did the victim mistake mask to mask to be?
Why, the answer is obvious. Ron Delight, of course.
Boy, I'd like to wipe that smug look off this guy's face.
Why would the victim mistake the defendant for mask to mask? Don't you already know that? Zvari! Take a look at this newspaper.
Oh, that's the famous Tear of Emanon, a magnificent jewel. That photo shows a...
That photo shows a magnificent detective as well, does it not? Furthermore, it also shows an ugly god, namely the defendant.
The defendant?
The victim clearly misread this article and... Sorry! He got the wrong impression. The impression that this ugly security guard was in fact mask to mask.
I see.
That was an unusually reasonable deduction. It was Mr. Bullard who wrote the blackmail letter and sent it to Ron Delight.
Hold it.
You mean this blackmail letter right here?
It says, bring $50,000.
And the handwriting is, without a doubt, the victim's?
There's no mistake. We have official report to prove it.
But I don't see an addressee on this letter anywhere.
An addressee?
This letter was discovered in Ron Delight's apartment, and Mr. Delight did show up at the designated place and time. The fact that there is no addresses is irrelevant.
I wonder. What's up, Nick? I just had a thought. What if that blackmail letter wasn't meant for Mr. Delight? Whoa! Do you have any evidence of that? For some reason, I just can't shake the feeling that there's something not quite right about this blackmail letter. Well, everyone, are you quite satisfied? And it was again Mr. Bullard who harbored a grudge against Mr. Delight for his betrayal.
Hold it.
What do you mean by that? Oh my! I was certain you were already aware. Zvari!
And KB Security has a lot of security info on all sorts of companies. And since I was a security team chief, I stole data from the company.
Kane Bullard has yet to forgive young Mr. Delight, which is why he sent him that letter upon mistakenly believing he was the thief.
Here's a file that we discovered in Mr. Bullard's office. Evidence that Mr. Bullard was receiving money through blackmail.
However, isn't this a bit odd? Why did the defendant pay Mr. Bullard the money, even though he wasn't actually mask to mask?
On that point, there was an unfortunate bit of chance. Mr. Bullard's mistake is quite Mr. Bullard's mistake is quite excusable. The defendant truly believes he is mask to mask.
Oh shit.
Hold it.
There. Do you really think that story is gonna hold up? That assertion is not merely my own, I'm afraid. What do you mean?
I have here a memo from Ron Delight's wife, Desiree Delight. Ronnie thinks he's mask to mask. Don't you feel sorry for him? Please don't think too badly of him. Well, Mr. Wright.
Was he trying to act like Miss Delight just now?
I thought he was actually pretty convincing. Not really. That is why Mr. Delight saw it fit to kill Kane Bullard. That truly a tragedy.
Hold it.
No, that's just your imagination talking. Calm now, Sir Lawyer. I'm afraid imagination isn't the right word for it. This is a deduction, the result of carefully applied reasoning.
Can we hear that careful reasoning for ourselves?
It's a long story, and better saved for another time.
Very well, another time.
Those so-called long stories aren't usually all that long. At least not in my experience. So you're gonna try to connect Detective Atme to Mr. Bullard, right? Yeah, that's right. Hopefully it won't require surgery either. In that case, you'll have to talk about the blackmail. Yes, true. Was that blackmail letter really intended for Ron? Since we don't have enough information, you should press him for more testimony. Maybe I'll be able to shake some contradictions loose that way. Alright, my guess is that I need to press again for everything. So, never mind. There is pretty much nothing. Nothing that I can, like, press further with. So, that means I have to present evidence, eh? Shat, okay. Perhaps it's as easy as just throwing this up.
Objection.
Okay, yep, it's that easy. Now we need to figure it out from here, I'm sure. That being said, I'm actually going to save right in the hell now. Because that was a lucky break. Boy, the internet is having one hell of a seizure right now. It's annoying the fact that I can't stream this game and have people interact with it. Like, that was one of the fun things about the Phoenix Wright streams, is that... You know, I was able to connect, and people were able to help out in the chat and, you know, throw out their 2 cents, laugh, make jokes themselves. You know, that was pretty fun. It would be very nice if my ISP would actually fix the goddamn internet. But anyway, mind if I ask you a few questions, Detective Atme? Well, if it's just a few, I guess it's all right. When you said that this letter was addressed to Ron Delight, I couldn't help but notice one major contradiction. Contradiction?
I don't know where a walking contradiction like you gets off saying things like that.
You're one to talk.
At times like these, men are made to express themselves with their fists. Why don't you show us what you got there, Junior?
Indeed. Time to man up, Mr. Wright. Show us the contradiction evidence in the content of the blackmail letter.
All right. Reading through this list: Tear of Emanon, Crown of Bongora, Left Hand of Hades, and the last thing that was supposedly stolen was the portrait of Megina. None of that is a red diamond. Not really. Tear of Emanon was the blue thing. That's an artifact. That's a sculpture. That's a painting. There is no red diamond. None. So, huh?
Little 2-1 punch like that wouldn't even faze me.
Objection.
I think you mean 1-2 punch.
Mr. Wright, try thinking things through a little more before finding...
Oh, god damn it. What? All right, maybe I'm on the ball, but I haven't figured it out just yet. I don't know. Ouch! I sure felt that punch, Your Honor. Anyway, let's try reading the blackmail letter one more time. There's gotta be something off about it somewhere. Oh, damn. Okay, fine. Check here. First heist. Guard in photo is Ron Delight. Mia.
Take that.
Holy fuck, that's right. I didn't even know. I was just like, this maybe. Anyway, take a good look at this newspaper clipping. It contains a picture of the Tear of Emanon, the stolen jewel.
What about it?
The problem is this jewel's color.
Color? I'm not much for discussing color myself.
According to the clipping, the color of the jewel that was stolen was blue. However, in the blackmail letter, a totally different jewel is mentioned. I'll take that red diamond you received the other day.
Red?
Which means The red diamond described in the blackmail letter is not the tear of Emanon that Mask to Mask stole it all!
Objection.
Then your point is, Mr. Wright? So you're trying to say that the blackmail letter was intended for someone else? That is what you're trying to say, right, Wright?
Is this what you were trying to say, right, Mr. Wright?
Well, is that what you're trying to say, right, Nick? Yes. This is who Kane Bullard was actually blackmailing. Naturally, it was you, Detective Atme. Do you have some sort of basis for that claim? You have been personally involved in every single mask-to-mask case. And in the last case, you recovered what was stolen and received a jewel as your reward.
A jewel?
Probably the one wrapped conspicuously around your finger. That red diamond ring! This is the diamond referred to in the letter, which means that Kane Bullard wrote that letter in order to blackmail you! Got it.
Order, order, order in the court! Oh.
It seems you've gone too far with your childish pranks, Mr. Wright.
Uh-oh. I don't like the way he said that.
Kane Bullard blackmailing Luke at me. Are you for real?
Yes, I am. Nick, come on, stand up to him.
Then answer me this. The blackmail letter contains the following passage. If you don't want your identity revealed to the world.
Yes, it certainly does.
Kane Bullard threatened to make Luke Atme's identity public knowledge. An identity he wanted to keep a secret. So just what was that identity?
Atme killed Kane Bullard because he was afraid of his secret becoming known. What was the identity he wanted to keep secret? This is what it all comes down to, Nick. The identity that Luke Atme wanted to so desperately keep secret was his identity as... It's probably obvious. But I'm doing good. Sorry if it's jarring, but I just... Alright. A blackmailer. Luke Atme was a blackmailer.
Objection.
Hey now, isn't that a little different from what you've been saying? You said that Kane Bullard was the one blackmailing Luke Atme. Are you saying that Atme was blackmailing someone else on top of that?
You have to admit, that does sound a little odd. It's not odd. It's the only thing that makes any sense. Kane Bullard was blackmailing Luke Atme. But Rhonda Light was also being blackmailed by a certain someone. So did you start receiving blackmail letters after the incident?
Yes, just a few days after the Tear of Emanon heist. After that, I started getting the plans in the mail. I received plans from some very kind person. Incredibly detailed plans. Detailed plans? In which case, that would mean that Ron Delight was actually mask to mask.
That is what we are claiming. Someone else came up with their plans and had Mr. Delight steal his targets for him. And that someone was none other than Luke Atme. Shh! Silence! Now I see. It's all becoming clear.
What is?
When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Careless, with the tendency to jump to conclusions. Am I wrong? How did you... You say that I, Luke Atme, was blackmailing Ron Delight. In which case, I would naturally know all about his relation to Mask.
Well, yes.
Ron Delight started receiving plans from his second crime onward, correct? Which means I learned of his identity when he committed the first crime.
Good point. You certainly couldn't have blackmailed him otherwise.
In that case, let's see some hot, bitter evidence. During the first time, how did Luke Atme know that Ron DeLite was Master Mask?
He knew due to, well, the newspaper clipping, because you could see that, well, it leads down that direction, I'm sure. I'm gonna try. I think I've seen it. See what? When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Gets into a lot of mischief trying to be the center of attention. What do you mean? This newspaper clipping. It has a picture of you and Ron DeLite in the guard's uniform. It seems that Mask to Mask didn't just disappear into thin air. He just took off his outfit and hid it in a bucket.
That sounds far too stupid to be true.
Correct. With tricks like that, he couldn't fool a baby, let alone an ace detective. And that's when you figured it out, Mr. Atme. That's when you learned that under his mask, Mask to Mask was really Ron DeLite. What they supposed to be Mask to Mask?
Not only that, but it looks like he wasn't even an ace detective. I can't believe it. He was just a slimy blackmailer.
What a fraud! Trying to pass himself off as an ace detective.
Why, you... How dare you expose me like that? Why, I mean, I've never blackmailed anyone in my life. I'm a famous and proud ace detective, and I'm also Mask to Mask. Why can't you understand that?
I'm afraid you are neither a proud thief nor an ace detective. You're a blackmailer and a murderer. This is your true identity.
Why, you...
How dare you ever so good? Let me trust, why not do yourself by those big muscles of yours? I'd say none of you can. You're just jealous. Just desecrate me, commemorate me. There's an ace detective cannot handle blackmail, murder threats. It's enough to make one laugh. Jesus. So what does that mean for me?
It would seem we've finally arrived at the real answer.
That was quite a performance, but by Mr. Atme.
Bailiff, please prepare a cell for Mr. Atme.
Objection.
Oh, good. Here we go. You got another ace up your sleeve.
The hammer that strikes too fast has no time to aim.
What do you mean? I'm already preparing to deliver my ruling.
Allow me to say one thing. I will be the one to judge.
But I'm the judge.
You don't get much more in your face than that.
It appears that your claws were quite sharp enough, Mr. Tread.
What do you...
It's true that you've proven a lot of things. Things like Luke Atme was a filthy blackmailer, and that he wasn't at Lord Taylor the night of the murder.
That's right. That's why he's the one who killed Mr.
But there's still one thing you have yet to prove.
What's that?
Just because he wasn't at the warehouse doesn't mean he was at the murder scene. Therefore, if you can't prove that this pitiful excuse for a man was at KB security, then I don't see how a verdict can be delivered.
No way!
Order in the court. Well, Mr. Wright.
This is it. This is the final round. And I'm saving because holy shit. I got a lot done there. And my throat is on goddamn fire. Damn you and making me rasp. I've got to prove that Atme was at Mr. Bullard's office on that night. But can you really prove that?
That's long enough, Mr. Trott. I want to hear your answer.
That night, Luke Atme was at KB Security and the defense. I've saved. Why the fuck not? I can't prove it.
Just as I thought.
But if we hear more of Detective Atmey's testimony.
Objection.
Unfortunately, that's as far as you go, Mr. Trite.
What do you mean?
I won't allow for any more testimony. That's what I mean.
What? That's not your decision. It's the judge's.
Have you forgotten? Luke Atmey is here after we interrupted his own trial. And you have failed to prove that he committed the murder. I think it's time for this witness to return to his own trial and face his guilty verdict as mask to mask.
No!
Well now, Sir Lawyer, it seems that love wins out in the end after all. I am the ace detective, as well as mask to mask. My verdict will verify that. Just as Ron Delight will verify that he is the true murderer, I declare that with full force of my ace detectiveness, son of a whore.
Order in the court. That's enough deliberation over the witness.
I can't believe this. At this rate, Ron is... Don't give up now, Nick. We still have tomorrow. We can look for more evidence that... By then, it'll be too late. Huh? Why? Are you daft? If the guilty party gets a guilty verdict in another trial, they aren't going to be able to get guilty in another case, I don't think.
Double jeopardy. One of the basic rules of any court of law.
Double jeopardy?
Should a defendant be tried and found innocent in court, that defendant cannot be tried again for the same crime. This is a fundamental rule of all courts, and it applies to the witness as much as it applies to anyone else.
Mr. Atmey, we found guilty in a matter of minutes. Guilty as mask to mask. Which means...
He will be innocent as far as the murder of Kane Bullard is concerned.
No way!
The fact that you were unable to prove Mr. Atmey's guilt of that crime here means that he will never again be tried as Kane Bullard.
That is such bullshit. That's not a thing in U.S. court, is it? I hope not. Somebody stop this crazy thing. Now there's nothing I could possibly do to win. Even if Ron is proclaimed to be innocent, the real killer, Luke Atmey, will go free.
You have cross-examined every statement the witness has made here today. And as long as there is no more testimony, I'm afraid I have to declare that there will be no further questioning of the witness. Are there any objections?
No smart ones. Can somebody object, please? Mia, help.
Then I hereby end the cross-examination of Luke Atmey.
Objection!
Yes! Who? I think I see it. Your Honor, when you were a child, this is what was on your report card every year. Has poor hearing and often makes mistakes as a result.
How did you...
Phoenix, raise your head up high. Have you forgotten what I used to tell you? A lawyer is someone who smiles no matter how bad it gets. That voice? No way! How are you surprised? Of course it's her. Long time no see, Phoenix. Mia! This is the true power of the Kirain channeling technique. Giant boobs. I know that it is really Maya who's standing before me. But right now, she's my mentor, Mia Fey. Now, let's do this. But there's nothing more we can do, Mia. Without any more testimony, I can't cross-examine. Not yet. The testimony's not over yet. What do you mean? Your Honor, just now you said something very interesting. You have cross-examined every statement the witness has made here today.
Yes, that's true, but...
Unfortunately, Your Honor, you're forgetting something. Earlier, after the last cross-examination, this witness made a number of remarks.
Well now, Sir Lawyer, it seems that love wins out in the end overall. I am the ace detective, as well as mask to mask. My verdict will verify that. Just as Ron Delights will verify that he is the true murderer. I declare that with the full force of my ace detectiveness.
Yes, but These comments appear to have no importance whatsoever.
Very well. Then we shall prove their importance via cross-examination. At any rate, as long as the witness has made these remarks, we, the defense, assert our right to question them. Is that all right with you, prosecutor?
Is something the matter, Mr. Godot?
Nothing.
Oh, sir lawyer, it looks like you're one step too late. If you think such falsehoods will do anything to me, look at...
Let's hear it.
Huh?
It's true that the witness made some remarks. So then, let's hear this last bit of cross-examination.
Mr. Godot, what are you... Very well then, Mr. Look at me. I'm going to allow the defense to cross-examine your earlier remarks.
The defense would like to hear why you've declared the defendant to be the true murderer.
So, please, give us one last bit of testimony.
Phoenix, this is it. This is our absolute last chance.
Yes, Chief.
She looks very tired and upset. Just being like, here I am again, you sad little bastard.
Indeed, it is true that I was not at Lordly Taylor. I had to leave to see about another vitally important job request. I had known about the date beforehand, so I had this photograph ready. My brilliant deduction was that was what informed me that the true culprit was Ron Delight. And thanks to the keycard and wallet, it was abundantly clear that he was there. I was also able to make a deduction from the buzzer, which only sounded once. The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? The victim would have left prints if he sounded it, which means the killer sounded it. Mr. Delight was wearing his mask-to-mask outfit, which is why he left no prints. And the blackmail letter, the victim likely just mistook the color of the jewel. Zvari! Therefore, all the evidence points to that poor boy.
We'll see. This testimony actually seems to hold up pretty well.
The witness's earlier remarks do not appear to have been hastily prepared. All of his points have been explained, and none of them seem to contradict anything.
But of course!
But how did you know about the emergency buzzer?
The police investigation documents were directly through me. And I always look over all the documents. It's elementary, sir lawyer.
Are you gonna make even more trouble for us now, sir lawyer?
I would not allow any of your usual shenanigans, Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor.
We cannot postpone Luke Atmey's trial any longer. This is your last chance.
Hang on a sec. Just one chance.
Seems that the party is about to begin.
Well, Phoenix, there isn't any evidence that contradicts with that testimony. So it would seem. What do you mean, so it would seem? Listen, Phoenix, pointing out contradictions doesn't always mean you have to present evidence, does it? At any rate, this is our last chance. If you can't point out a case-breaking contradiction, you lose. That's all there is to it.
Cup number 17. The last cup. It seems like the time has come to put an end to this trial.
I have to find a fatal contradiction in this testimony. And I need to point it out without presenting evidence. Which means all I can do is find the contradictory remark and press it. Remember, you only get one chance.
Very well then, Mr. Wright. Please begin your final cross-examination.
The last testimony, boy. Right. Saving time. Okay. Let's press and not present evidence, I suppose. I guess this is literally going to come down to me just pressing the proper way. Anyway.
Indeed, it's true that I was not at Lordly Taylor. Hello.
Mr. Atme, about this last remark.
Objection.
You still don't get it, do you, Trite? This isn't the time to be pressing the witness on every little statement.
What?
I said this before. There's still one thing you haven't proven. That this scum was in Kane Bullard's office that night. And now, it's time for me to drink my last cup.
Mr. Wright, I will hold you to the end of my... goddammit.
Okay, that's how we're playing this. So only press on important pieces of evidence.
Objection.
Oh shit, what? I missed all that, what? Sorry, for a second there I thought that, like, that I had failed again. Apparently I didn't. Okay, so it has something to do with the fact that he was wearing the mask-to-mask outfit? That is the contradiction? Wait, did he know about that before the, before the trial? Was he involved in any of that? I don't think so. Actually, yeah, no. Nobody, absolutely nobody knew that he was wearing that costume till just now. Shit, okay. Mr. Delight was wearing his mask-to-mask outfit, which is why he left no prints. Yeah. You wouldn't know about that. That's it. Mr. Atme, about this last remark.
Objection.
You still don't get it, do you, Trite? This isn't the time to be pressing the witness on every little statement.
I'm afraid you're the one who still doesn't get it, Mr. Godot.
What?
Mr. Atme, it seems you have finally admitted that you were in the CEO's office on the night of the murder. How can you say that? Let's review your testimony, shall we, Mr. Atme? The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? Mr. Delight was wearing his mask-to-mask outfit. Is that correct? Indeed, that's what I said. My deductions are absolutely foolproof. More like your deductions prove that you're a fool. I'm sorry. What do you mean?
For some reason, I'm starting to get really thirsty.
When exactly did we learn the fact that Ron Delight was dressed as Mask to Mask when he went to the crimes, see the crime?
That was...
It was just a few hours ago. Back when my sixth cup was looking at me with a cold stare.
Oh, did I forget to mention it before? I'm sorry, I just never had a chance to mention it up until now.
That's right. The defendant had yet to tell anyone else this fact before this morning. Therefore, the only people who should know this are the son of a bitch. All right. The only people who should know this are those who have been watching this trial. Do you understand now, Detective Atme? There is no way that you should have known about that! You were in the next courtroom, being tried as Mask to Mask. So then, enlighten us. Just how did you know about that piece of information?
Well, it's...
Come now, this detective must have known about it. He probably had plenty of chances to find it beforehand.
And it's those chances that I want to discuss next. That night, Mr. Delight was wearing his mask-to-mask outfit. There is one and only one way for Detective Atme to have found that out.
Only one way, you say?
Please recall, if you will, Mr. Delight's testimony.
When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow there.
For a second, my client witnessed the real killer.
Objection.
But Mr. Delight never saw his attacker, so there's no way to tell whether or not the real killer was Luke Atme.
It's with that statement that I'll turn this case on its head.
Just what are you implying?
Mr. Delight saw the real killer, correct? Now, if you turn the statement around, it stands to reason that the real killer had also seen Ron Delight.
Impossible.
Meh. Detective Atme, you saw Master Mask at the murder scene that night. You saw him when you killed Kane Bullard and assaulted Ron DeLite. That was the only way you could have known what Ron was wearing. Uh-oh. What have I done?
Blast off! Take a good look, everyone! Unable to find a rival worthy of my genius, I was forced to create one by myself! Here I am, the tragic clown!
That's the same line you gave yesterday.
But I think there's a little more meaning behind it this time. Crazy bastard. Fuck, I'm salivating just like at how fucking crazy he is.
What an awfully complicated incident. Kane Bullard was blackmailing Luke Atme, who was in turn blackmailing Ron DeLite. And upon killing his blackmailer, Luke Atme tried to frame Ron DeLite. He then claimed to be guilty as Master Mask in order to escape his true crime.
And to that end, he came up with this plan. To use the double jeopardy rule when making his alibi.
At any rate, it would seem we finally found the truth.
Excuse me.
I came perilously close to besmirching the record of an innocent young man. Besmirching him with the title of murderer.
Don't ignore me!
What do you want? Don't turn this around again, please.
Oh, I didn't realize you were there.
Why wouldn't he be?
About the verdict. I know. You never committed any murder.
That's right! I'm so glad you understand that.
But
I really am Master Mask!
Huh?
So, thanks to that trial yesterday, I'm innocent now, right? What was it you just said? Double jeopardy?
Now that you mention it...
I've been careless.
Careless?
What do you think, Mia? As the defendant says, the rule of double jeopardy is absolute. A defendant can never be tried twice for a crime in which he was once found innocent. Then, Master Mask is really innocent? It would seem so. For now.
For now?
Now then, this court finds the defendant not guilty out of court bullshit. But it's court bullshit aimed directly at Phoenix Wright, so whatever.
Oh boy, this is really lucky. Wait, I this isn't so good after all. You see, the thing is, I still am Master. October 14th, 3:35 p.m. District Court, defendant lobby number 4. There.
You did it, Phoenix.
Thanks, Mia. It's been a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's because Maya doesn't call on me much these days.
Oh?
I'm just joking, Phoenix. Don't take everything so seriously. But on the other hand, Maya, she seems kind of torn these days. You mean about becoming the master of the Kurain channeling school? Becoming the master means saying goodbye to our mother. Misty Faye, right? Watch over her, will you, Phoenix?
Of course.
Well then, see you around. Mia.
Mr. Wright! I don't know what to say.
Congratulations, Mr. DeLite.
Thank you so much! No, wait. Nothing really matters anymore, though. Now it's all... Come on, just be happy already.
Oh, that was a quick transmission from Mia to Maya.
Maya! You've been cleared of the murder charges and got off as Master Mask to boot. But in exchange, I lost everything.
Huh? What do you mean?
Stealing security information from KB Security, becoming Master Mask. I did it all for one reason. For her.
You mean your wife, Desiree?
She hates criminals more than anything.
Come to think of it, she was once held hostage by some robbers, wasn't she?
She always said how she hates sneaky criminals. I knew that. But once I got fired from KB Security and lost all the money I had, she wouldn't have any reason to stay with me. I thought she would leave me for sure.
So that's why you became Mask to Mask?
Yes. But it's all over now. Broken bowl can never be put back together.
That's not true. Right, Nick? Are we getting to one of those scenes where I need to give him evidence or something? Actually, hey, does it have something to do with the urn? Are we going to use the urn as a piece holder? Or is that...
Right. Really? Can we go back to the way things were?
You'll be fine, and Nick can prove it. I can? Kinda wish you would check with me first. Mr. Delight, even if a bowl is broken, there's always a way to put it back together.
The sacred urn. Oh, Jessie was the one who found this.
Desiree, your wife. She's always believed in you, Ron. That's why you'll be fine. You don't have to worry about anything.
Ah, there you are! Miss Delight, you did it, Ronnie. You're innocent. I'm so happy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But I suppose you don't want anything to do with me, do you?
Ronnie, why didn't you talk to me about what was going on? I had no idea you'd quit KB Security. I never imagined that you were really Mask to Mask either.
Miss Delight, what are you going to do now that you know? You're not going to really leave him, are you?
Come on, it's obvious, isn't it? How could I ever let a wonderful man like him get away?
After all, my bike's really fast. So fast that there's no way he could ever get away. But didn't you say that you hated criminals?
Oh, I only hate people who act all cowardly and sneaky. Like that detective.
I see.
My Ronnie went and declared his crimes before he committed them, like a man. I just love a man who's so chivalrous.
Chivalrous?
I knew I was right about you. Every day I spent with you was filled with thrills and excitement.
Jessie.
Desiree, you really do love Ron, don't you?
Nicky boy.
Yes?
I'm really glad I asked you to defend my Ronnie. Thank you so much. I'll never forget what you've done for us.
Oh, well, take care of yourself.
You too, Nicky boy.
No, I can feel my face going red.
Mr. Nick! Mr. Boy!
Congratulations! Where the hell have you come from?
Talk about bad timing.
Mr. Nick, how could you? With another man's wife, in front of Mr. Boy! No, sir, I'll never forgive you. Never, ever.
Jesus, come on.
So just as the case came to a close, so too did my consciousness.
Ron said a broken bowl can never be put back together. But I know that's not true. I mean, just look. Here's a perfect example of one that was put back together even better than before. And covered in pink splotches. Anybody have some, like, I don't know, something to eat through that paint? Episode 2, The Stolen Turnabout, the end. Well, that was fun. Frickin' Pearl. Brand new episode has been added. Recipe for turnabout. Ooh, that sounds delicious. Speaking of which, I haven't eaten anything today. I really should get on that. But, yeah, we're going to be doing that next time, that's for sure. There we go. Oh, boy. Now, I gotta say, I would really, really love it if we could. I would love it if the internet was working properly so that I didn't have to worry about these cutouts. Because I can tell you there were at least like 3 or 4 cutouts within the span of this entire stream. And also, I have I've looked over the Dead Cells footage. It looks like there was a segment of Dead Cells where there was a blank spot for about 10 seconds. that's about the length of when the internet cuts out. It didn't happen for, like, the entirety of the stream, but I'm a little worried about that, and I'm a little worried that I'm going to look back on this footage and find out there's other, like, really big gaps that were just made by internet being disconnected. I don't even know how that's happening because, yeah, it's being locally recorded. That shouldn't make any difference, but XSplit, I don't think it really comprehends just constant internet outages like this, and frankly, I don't... Yeah, why would it? I'm crossing my fingers that there were no drops and that the footage is okay. And again, hopefully the guys that are currently doing the research and trying to find where this problem is coming from, I hope they can find it and replace whatever it is that's broken. But until then, again, I'm just going to try and hold on for as long as I can with the stream, and we'll see. All right, well, it's getting real warm in here, and I need to turn on the AC. So we're going to call it for today. I think this is a good place to bookend it, ending a chapter. So that'll do it for the stream tonight. So thanks for anybody who has popped in and then immediately got cut out. I appreciate it, I guess. If you want to take a look at this episode anytime after it's done, I'm going to be uploading it to my YouTube channel shortly after the stream's finished, and, well, after it's done being processed, and I'm going to edit out some of the, dumb spin wheels moments. I stream on Saturdays, Sundays, and Wednesdays, all of them starting at around 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. And what I stream on any given day, who the hell knows? Although, again, based on the fact that we've had so many of these internet cutouts, it's going to be a whole lot of games that are inconsequential that don't have any... that have, like, tiny to do with crowd interaction, which is fucking stupid. And a complete waste, too. But, yeah, that'll do it for tonight. Again, thanks for stopping out. See you next time.